Man, I thought Leigh Bardugo was the only author who'd disappoint me like this. What is up, you guys? It's me, your girl, your Casey. How the heck you doing, you fine looking thing? I didn't mean to set my tripod up this high, but you can't see my double chin from this angle, so win-win. So, picture this. Your name is Casey, because that's my name. You read 2 fantastic books this year. One of them is called... What's the second book called? This is just downright embarrassing. What's the second book called? Legend. It's called Legend. You read Legend. You read another book called Finale. Book 2 and 3 of the Caraval series. Those books lit a fire in you. They were written beautifully. Amazing characters. The sexiest love triangle to ever sexy. And you found happiness for once in your miserable, lonely life. Yes, that's you. AKA me. You finished the series. One of your booktube friends is like, girl, did you know Stephanie Garber's writing a follow-up series? And it's going to primarily feature one of your favorite characters, Jax from the series. My heart made very fast bump sounds. I was so excited. And then it happened. The book came out. And here it is. And I read it. Oh my gosh, no. This is not how we do it. Real fast, I feel like I need to reintroduce you to my relationship with the Caraval trilogy. I hated the first book. Primarily, I did not like Scarlet as a character. It's not that she was a bad character, it's just she was very boring. Only stuck to the rules, so that took a lot of the adventure out of the plot. I didn't have any feelings for her love interest at all, so I wasn't excited about that relationship. I was excited to get to know what Caraval was. You know, the circusy magic surrounding settings. But it turned out just to be a giant scavenger hunt in the first book. And that's like a quest, and I hate quest books. And like in the grand scheme of things, like after you read the trilogy, many important plot devices in the first book, such as the mystery around Scarlet's grandmother, they just aren't important for the rest of the series. So why did we even bother with this? So I, in short, was not satisfied with the first book. I did not want to go on reading it, but I had already purchased books 2 and 3. So I was like, why the heck not? Get your money's worth. And girl, I'm so glad I did, because I gave like Legend a 4.5 and Finale got a 5. Those books were so good because mostly we were out of Scarlet's point of view. Now we were in Donatella's point of view, and I love Donatella. She's probably my favorite female protagonist of 2021. And the first book did her dirty. When I finished the first book, I hated that woman, Donatella. I was like, this girl is selfish. She just made her sister Scarlet go through heck and back just because she wanted to party. But now books 2 and 3, Donatella's lit. Love her. The third book actually redeemed Scarlet as a character for me. Again, nothing against Scarlet as a person, but she had this annoying thing where she was just like overly descriptive, especially with colors in her point of views. Like every action, the sound of a person's voice, it was always described with a color, and it got old very fast. But in the third book, it's described why it is like that, why she sees the world like that, and I loved it. It made sense, so now that doesn't bother me anymore. But all in all, the series ended in a fantastic way. I loved going from this small carnival Caraval setting, and I loved exploring the world more, especially with the Fates. I loved the additions of the Fates into this book, into this series. If we started out like that from the very beginning, I would have been more likely been hooked right away. So I'm so glad I did not DNF the series. However, now we got the spin-off series, Once Upon a Broken Heart. So, my favorite character is Jax. I love Jax. That is the most swoon-worthy man in all of book existence. Oh, and if you're here listening to a review of Once Upon a Broken Heart, I may talk about Caraval trilogy spoilers, because you can't read this book without having read the original trilogy. You just can't. Sorry. So yeah, Jax, he's the fated prince of broken hearts. He's one of those nasty little fated deities running around in Legend and Finale, just making a real ruckus out of everything. He was witty. He gave us more insight into the inner workings of the world. It was dang sexy. I loved every minute of him. So when I was told that we're getting a story about him, I was ready. But to my enormous disappointment, the story is not told from Jax's point of view. If it would have been, it would have been an automatic 4 stars. You would just have to keep me entertained throughout the rest of the book, and you could have gotten a 5 stars. It would never have dipped behind 4 stars, because I would not do that to Jax. I love him. No, this book, it stars Evangeline. We got a new girl. I can't tell you anything about her. I feel the same way about Evangeline as I felt about the main girl character. I don't remember her name, but the main girl character from A House of Salt and Sorrows. But I got nothing from her. I didn't get a read on her personality besides she's just a nice person. Now, yeah, I'm proud of you for being nice, but I like a little spice. I need more. Like, honestly, she's just there. She's just a way for us to stick around Jax throughout the story. This problem wouldn't have happened if you just made Jax the central character. She's also just incredibly hopeful, which makes her incredibly naive throughout the book, which gets her into a ton of trouble. But overall, she is not unbearable. So our girl Evangeline, we have a ugly stepmother, ugly stepsister kind of story happening. During that week in finale when all the fates were running wild, Evangeline was dealing with some heartache because the guy she fell in love with, Luke. By the way, if book 2 has taught me anything, it is never ever to trust any boy named Luke. L-U-C, Luke. They are always trouble, and it's usually short for Lucifer. Anyways, Luke. He dumps her, and guess what? He gets engaged with the stepsister, and their marriage is about to happen. So our girl Evangeline, she's in tears, she's crying, she doesn't know what to do, but she wants to stop the wedding. And how do you do that when you got a broken heart? You go to the church of the Prince of the Broken Hearts. You pray to Jax. So Evangeline runs to his church, and what do you know? He's right there. And, well, she doesn't recognize him at first. He just looks like a guy sitting in a church pew. She goes up to a statue and prays like, please stop Luke's wedding. Please, please, please. And Jax is like, hey, baby, you're flirting with my statue. Why not you flirt with me? Wink. Jax is in a really good mood right now because this is happening during finale when he has some Donatella action going on. So Evangeline is like, please, good sir, I'll give you anything. Just please stop Luke's wedding. He's supposed to marry me. And Jax is like, baby girl, if he was supposed to marry you, he'd done marry you by now. But I think you're swanky, so I'll do this for you. In exchange for me stopping this wedding, you are going to owe me 3 kisses. Evangeline is like, oh heck no, I don't want to kiss you 3 times. Because Jack, he's the prince of the broken hearts. He has the deadly kiss. You kiss him, you're gonna like it, but you're gonna die. And Jack's like, no baby, I don't want you to kiss me. You're gonna have to kiss the 3 people I tell you to kiss whenever I want it. Deal? Evangeline's like, oh, that's better. It's a deal. So Jax is like, by the way, when's the wedding? Evangeline's like, right now. Jax be like, well, okay, I'll go stop it right now. Meet me in the garden in 10 minutes. All right, I'm here with my beloved Luke! Jax done turned all the people at the wedding into statues. And Jax is like, how you like this, doll face? I stopped the wedding. Evangeline, she's ridden with guilt. She knows that all this statue action, it's her fault. She asked for this to happen. So she's like, Jax, you fiend, how do I reverse this? He's like, well, if you drink that goblet of poison over there, it'll reverse it so that they become unstatuified, and then you become the statue. And our girl, heroic to the end for some reason, ready to save the boy who abandoned her and her nasty little stepsister, she grabs the goblet and gulps, she becomes a statue. Weeks pass. She is eventually freed from her statuification, and when she's a statue, she's like thinking to herself, oh, Luke will find a way to save me because like I'm his one true love. It's not Luke that saves her. It's a totally different thing. Not gonna tell you what. But once she's freed, you know, word around town like spreads about her like, oh, she's the sweetheart savior. She saved a whole wedding party that she turned to stone by turning herself into stone. This is what true love really looks like. Evangeline's like, yeah, I'm a hero. She don't feel good about this, but she doesn't tell anyone the truth. I understand. Anyways, word goes out further about her when the Empress, you know, a very important figure, she hears about the sweetheart savior, invites Evangeline to dinner, and she's like, my dear child, I want to thank you for showing this amount of heroism right after all the fates went wild in our fair city. Yeah, because remember, finale happened, and all the fates, including Jax, have absconded to the north. They don't want to be around the Empress right now for reasons, and they're kind of in trouble, so they're fugitives. Which means Jax isn't around to collect on Evangeline's promises of 3 kisses, which she's very grateful for, except until now, because the Empress is like, my dear, I cannot possibly think of leaving my people right now after this immense amount of turmoil we just went through. But our friends from the magnificent north, they're having a grand swanky party. The unmarried prince, wink wink, he's throwing it. I can't go, but it will be really impolite if I don't go, so I want to send you in my stead. Will you do it, sugar cheeks? Evangeline's a hopeless romantic. Luke's no longer in the picture. She's kinda on her way to accepting that happily ever after is over, but she's ready to open herself up to new possibilities of a newer, better happily ever after. Because this party that the magnificent North's prince is throwing, it's a I'm gonna find my bride party. So she's like, maybe I'll be a princess at the end of this party. So she's like, heck yeah, I'll go. Now that's the setup to the story. All of what I just described is the first 100 pages of the book, and it goes by fast. Like 100 pages seems like a lot. What I liked about this book, that it read very fast. The pacing was like an arrow. What I don't like about it is that the pacing was like an arrow. This story is in such a rush to get to the magnificent North where the actual story happens that we just like speed through. It's very critical of me, those first 100 pages. Crucial of me, because I need those 100 patience. 100 patience? We all need patience because I can't talk. I need those 100 pages to get to know the main character well. And besides her voluntarily turning herself into stone, again, you don't get anything from her besides she's just a nice person. My biggest gripe with this book is that it's in such a hurry to tell a story, but it's not like the story happening in the first book. This is obviously going to be like another trilogy, maybe a duology, but it's more than one book for sure. And I feel like this book was so preoccupied for setting up what's going to happen in the later books that it didn't do a good job of introducing me to the magnificent North, to our love interest, to Evangeline, and even Jax in this book is like a really washed out version of himself. Y'all, Jax in Legend had me swooning, like laid out on the bed, blushing, swooning, okay? I was in love. I didn't laugh once in this book, and that makes me sad. I'm a little wounded, in fact. Without spoiling anything, because I cannot afford to do that with you, there's not a lot happening in this book because it meets all like the expected plot points. Oh, we're going to meet a prince. Oh, do you think he's gonna fall in love with Evangeline? Probably. Do you think something terrible is gonna happen to like rip the prince and Evangeline apart? Probably. There was like a weird third act climax that kind of came out of nowhere involving vampires. I did not know vampires existed in this book. Were they mentioned in the trilogy? I cannot remember. But that happened. I was fond of it, but I'm also like, why did that happen? It ends in a very predictable way. We have like 3 villains in this book. One of them is super obvious. Someone gets poisoned in this book, and you know who poisoned them. And that same villain did not get a lot of airtime. Like, we do not know this person. We don't. So that was very unsatisfying. Oh my gosh, and the ending of this book. So all of our little trivial shenanigans ended. Towards the end of the book, something important is revealed, something that's going to play a big part in book 2. And our main character, Evangeline, she's just sitting back like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? This is such a revelation. I did not know this thing existed. But wait, and then she just goes on in her head for 5 pages, just thinking about how this happened, how many lies has been like told around her, what Jack's plan is, and why he has involved her in this mess. So for 5 pages, she's just like thinking in her head why the events of this book have happened. And this is an insane amount of telling and not showing, because we're literally just listening to this girl think for 5 pages at the very, very end of the book. And it was so boring. And the thing is that while she's thinking about what Jax is plotting in this book, if he's plotting anything at all, because this is all speculation right now in her head, Jax is like in the next room. You could have just like brought him out and have him, I honestly would have preferred if we'd had drag Jax out of the next door room and have him villain monologue. I don't even know if he's the villain in this book. He just sounds so tired in this book, like he doesn't even want to be here. Also, this book is all about a prophecy. I don't know about you, but I am very tired about prophecies. Hearing about them, reading about them. And it's such a dumb prophecy because the chosen one is only the chosen one because of her hair color and where she's born. That's lame. I thought about giving this book a 3. 3's like my meh kind of rating. But honestly, it's like a 2.5. Because the plot was predictable. I didn't like any of the characters. I didn't even really like Jax in this book, which hurts to say. I am the queens of the broken hearts in this book. So I just wanted more Jax action. But one thing about this book and what I love about Stephanie Garber is that her one second, her writing style is very magical. Like, you do get sucked into her world and the words she weaves on the paper. I love the settings, the environments that she describes. It's very magical. It's a perfect book right now to read because this is November. It's NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. And I hate writing descriptive scenery scenes, but this book, Once Upon a Broken Heart, got me excited to write it. So I am grateful that I read it. I'm interested in knowing what happens next in the series because I know this book was really building up and far more anticipatory is that a word? It was more anticipating the next following books rather than the book it was currently in. And I'm curious. I feel like Jax is plotting on ways to get Donatella back. I want that. Think he's gonna kill Legend? I would love that. I did not ship Donatella and Legend. I want Donatella and Jax. I want Casey and Jax. I'm Casey. Anyways, Once Upon a Broken Heart 2.5. It's magical, but maybe it's the wrong kind of magic. Some black magic. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, stay reading, my friends.